Hello, you're watching Nightline and I'm Nakia Basharuddin. News making the headlines. Government to ramp up efforts to close economic gaps across the country. API readings breach very unhealthy mark. 220 learning institutions in Tangka and Muar to be closed on Sunday. We'll begin with our headlining story. The government will ramp up efforts to close the economic gap across the country through its shared prosperity vision, which was discussed at a special cabinet meeting on Saturday. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the matter will be tabled at the next weekly cabinet meeting. Speaking to the media after chairing the meeting in Putrajaya, Tun Dr. Mahathir said the government will also look beyond pay rise in increasing worker productivity in the country.
Umpamanya kita sekarang ini sudah masuk dalam bidang aerospace. Bahkan enjin kapal terbang sekarang ini sebahagiannya diperbuat di Malaysia. Dan mereka yang boleh buat kerja ini mempunyai kebolehan tertentu. Tetapi kalau mereka yang kurang kebolehan, mereka akan diberi latihan. Di sini peranan Tibet semua bersetuju adalah satu peranan yang penting untuk meningkatkan keupayaan, the skills of our workers. And because it is important, kita nak bagi priority kepada adanya latihan Tibet ini.
On the country's distribution of wealth, Tun Dr. Mahathir said a program must be set up to raise the income of rural areas. He said there is a notable income gap between urban and rural areas, with the former being generally richer with a lower poverty rate. The Prime Minister also said that the government will strive to reduce the gap between rich states and poor states, such as Kelantan, Terengganu, Perlis and Kedah. At the same media conference, Tun Dr. Mahathir stressed that the government will no longer allow the sale of public contracts, licenses and approved permits, AP. The Prime Minister assured that such contracts will only be awarded to those who are qualified, in line with the Shared Prosperity Vision 2021 to 2030.
Kalau dia tak layak, kita akan beri training kepadanya sehingga dia layak. Kalau dia tak layak, tak ada duit, tak ada kemahiran, tak tahu bisnes, tiba-tiba diberi kontrak, yang itu will not achieve, in the end, will not achieve the objective. Kita punya objective is that in the end, we achieve the target, not in the beginning. Dulu kita create banyak opportunities, bagi kontrak rata tempat kepada semua orang. Tapi dia cuma jual kontrak. This time, no selling of contract.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said a lot of opportunities were created for a certain group of contractors in the past through public contracts, which ended up being sold to a third party. He said this was because the previous administration prioritized the creation of opportunities over results. On another matter, Tun Dr. Mahathir said that the government may reduce the budget allocation for sectors deemed less significant to support those in the top priority list. According to the Prime Minister, the matter will be formally presented to the Cabinet, which has agreed upon it in principle.
Bila kita tentukan satu-satu itu menjadi priority, maka budget kita juga akan memberi tekanan kepada yang priority. Kalau kita tidak mempunyai wang yang cukup untuk semua, kita terpaksa kurangkan bajet berkenaan yang kurang priority supaya dapat meningkat peruntukan kepada bidang yang priority. Inilah yang telah kita bincang dan kertas ini akan Ya, telah dipersetujui secara prinsip dan akan dikemukakan kepada kabinet biasa untuk kita sahkan sebagai kertas kabinet.
Tun Dr. Mahathir's announcement was echoed by the Economic Affairs Minister, who said the high priority areas included technical and vocational education training, TVET. Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali also said this will be discussed with the Finance Ministry, which is set to table the 2020 budget in Parliament on October 11th. Malaysia will leave it to Indonesia to investigate and prosecute companies that have contributed to the agricultural fires in Sumatra and Kalimantan. Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Minister Yeo Bee Yin said this includes Malaysian firms operating in the Republic.
Indonesia has full power to enforce their law on their land. Yeah. Also, they have full power to put out the fire on their land. Yeah. So we we have already conveyed a message that we will help. We will support them in any way possible when they see fit. So we are ready if and when they accept the offer from us.
Yeo said this after a special cabinet meeting on shared prosperity vision in Putrajaya on Saturday. She said since ASEAN presently did not have any Transboundary Haze Act at the regional level, the enforcement in relation to the haze problem had to be dealt with according to the individual country. Commenting further, Yeo said Malaysia will support Indonesia in any way possible that is fit in tackling the haze problem. She said Malaysia had already conveyed the message to Indonesia, but no request for such assistance received from the latter so far. On to the haze situation. Several parts in Peninsula of Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak continued to be blanketed by thick smog on Saturday. As of 11 p.m., only one area recorded very unhealthy level, with the air pollutant index API readings above 200, while 25 other areas nationwide recorded unhealthy levels of air quality, with the API readings of between 101 and 200. In Sarawak, Kuching recorded the worst API reading at 211, while 9 other areas recorded unhealthy readings, with Samarahan the highest at 191. While in Sabah, only 2 stations experienced unhealthy API readings, namely Tawau and Sandakan at 153 and 102 respectively. As for the Peninsula of Malaysia, the levels of air quality of some areas in Negeri Sembilan, Melaka, Johor and Pahang were still at unhealthy levels. Tangkak recorded the highest API reading in Johor at 197, while Kuantan and Bandaraya Melaka were among the highest in Pahang and Melaka respectively. In Johor, some 220 schools and institutions of higher learning in Tangkak and Muar will be closed on Sunday as the air pollutant index API readings breach the very unhealthy mark. Johor Education, Human Resources, Science and Technology Committee Chairman Aminul Huda Hassan said the closure will affect 129 schools in Tangkak and 89 schools in Muar, as well as institutions of higher learning, including matriculation colleges. However, school heads, teachers and other staff members will report for duty as usual. According to the Department of Environment's website, the API for Tangkak entered the unhealthy category at 7 a.m. on Saturday with a reading of 203 and has decreased to 197 as of 11 p.m. on Saturday. The 2 long-time political nemesis, UMNO and PAS, created history on Saturday by signing a political cooperation charter, the National Consensus Charter. The move officially marks the start of the political collaboration between the 2 largest Malay Muslim-based parties in the country. According to UMNO President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and past President Datuk Sri Abdul Hadi Awang, the basis of the charter was to bring about the unification of the Ummah or community in harmony with multiracial Malaysia.
Piagam Madinah yang menyentuh hubungan sesama Islam dan juga dengan bukan Islam. Permuafakatan ini mestilah bersifat permuafakatan nasional, bukan sekadar ikhtiar politik orang Melayu dan Islam atau demi puasa semata-mata.
Iaitu saya ulangi, kedudukan Islam, hak agama lain, hak bumi putera, bahasa kebangsaan, hak bermasyarakat majmuk dan lain-lain. Pertemuan hanya dalam perbezaan pendekatan dan salah faham dalam perkara cabang yang bersifat teknikal. Maka dalam menghadapi cabaran yang lebih besar, kita wajib bersatu.
The charter listed out 5 core issues in its content, which are to uplift and protect the federal constitution, to strengthen national cooperation, to empower the Islamic, Malay and Bumiputra agenda, to form an Islamic and Malay cooperation without rejecting the rights of other religions and races, as well as to collectively work on enhancing good governance and inclusive development policy. The charter, which was signed at UMNO headquarters at Putra World Trade Center, saw more than 10,000 PAS and UMNO members attending the event.
Khususnya orang Melayu bersetuju menerima kaum pendatang.
The Director General of the National Registration Department, or NRD, has been instructed to give his full cooperation to investigators in connection with the sale of MyCard and birth certificates to foreigners. Home Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the Director General must cooperate fully with the authorities, including the police and the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Agency, MACC. Commenting on the 20 individuals detained in Pulau Pinang recently, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, in a statement on Saturday, said the act of selling such documents to foreigners was a big betrayal of the country and there would be no compromise with those involved in the matter. He also advised the public to follow the existing processes and procedures in applying for any identification documents. He stressed that his ministry is responsible for processing applications for identification documents, and the current application process is clear and all complete applications will be processed fairly. On Thursday, 20 people, including an NRD assistant director, were charged at the Georgetown Sessions Court for their involvement in a syndicate selling MyCard and birth certificates. The young dipertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Saturday urged all parties to help facilitate Sungai Lembing fire victims to rebuild their houses. He said priority must be given to those in need of houses, as most of the victims were staying with their relatives while several others had nowhere to go. Al-Sultan Abdullah said the residents need to discuss with the authorities to find an alternative location as the place they are occupying looks dangerous. His Majesty also said that the safety of old buildings should be monitored to avoid incidents of fire from recurring.
Dan kita boleh lihat sekali apa telah terjadi kerana bangunan-bangunan yang lama ini perlu diberi perhatian sewajarnya. Kerana ini boleh mengakibatkan nyawa dan ataupun mangsa daripada insiden ini.
He said this after presenting aid to 29 families affected by the fire at the Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan Sungai Lembing in Kuantan. Also present was the Raja Permaisuri Agong, Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria. Accompanying the royal couple were Pahang Menteri Besar, Datuk Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail, and State Secretary Datuk Sri Dr. Salehuddin Ishaq. In the 1:30 a.m. blaze on August 31st, 22-story wooden shop houses, 11 single-story houses, and a library were razed to the ground. An elderly married couple, Ho Yuk Fun, 74, and Chow Kim Mui, 70, perished after being trapped in their 2-story wooden shop house, which is where the fire was believed to have begun. In Selangor, 3 armed robbers were shot dead following a high-speed chase and shootout with police at Jalan Batu Arang, Rawang on Saturday. State Police Chief Commissioner Datuk Nur Azam Jamaluddin said a team of police personnel was patrolling at Bandar Country Homes area when they stumbled upon the robbers, who were in a red Volkswagen Polo at about 5 a.m. Datuk Nur Azam said that police personnel instructed the robbers to pull over, but they did not heed the orders. The men then sped away and police gave chase for about 7 kilometers before they managed to corner the robbers. Police recovered 2 pistols, a machete and 3 ski masks at the scene. The car registration numbers used by the robbers were also found to be fake.
Kereta ini merupakan kereta yang telah disamun bersabit dengan Rawang report. Sebelum ni kita telah menerima laporan berhubungan dengan samun kereta. Jadi untuk makluman semua juga, kereta ini juga terlibat dalam kes samun di Taman Green Park Rawang pada 5/8, yang mana pihak kami dikatakan telah lewat sampai ke tempat kejadian.
Datuk Nur Azam said police believe the trio was responsible for a string of house break-ins recently. He said that police are investigating further and that the robbers were believed to be in the midst of searching for houses to be targeted when police stumbled upon them. A trip to attend an international biking event in Desaru turned into tragedy for a group of motorcyclists as 2 in their convoy were killed after being rammed by a car. Mersing District Police Chief Superintendent Cyril Edward Newing said police received a report on the incident that took place at Kota Tinggi Mersing Road around 9:25 p.m. on Friday. The victims were believed to be among a group of motorcyclists traveling on 20 high-performance bikes from Terengganu to Desaru for the International Desaru Bike Week. Cyril said a car that was going from Johor Bahru to Endau in Mersing crashed into the bikes as the driver lost control and skidded into the opposite lane. He added that the rider and pillion rider of one of the bikes were killed at the scene due to the collision, while the rider of another bike, who suffered serious injuries, was rushed to the Mersing hospital. The bodies of the deceased, identified as Muhammad Hanafi Ismail, 37, and Salima Muhammad Shafi, 40, were sent to the same hospital for post-mortem. In Sarawak, a man and a woman were killed in a road accident at Jalan Astana in Petrajaya at about 6:45 a.m. on Saturday after their vehicle was involved in a head-on collision with a sports utility vehicle. The victims were identified as Reko Juem, 33, and Salom Michael Abang, 34. Initial investigations revealed that the victims were traveling in their Produa Kancil when it suddenly swerved into the path of the oncoming SUV driven by a 43-year-old man. The 2 died on the spot due to serious head injuries sustained in the collision. Former Parti Socialist Malaysia youth chief and activist Khalid Ismath has been freed on police bail after having his statement recorded for allegedly posting a seditious tweet aimed at Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria. PSM Youth Chief Nik Aziz Afiq Abdul said Khalid, who was detained on Friday night, was freed at the Dangwangi Police Headquarters at 12:15 p.m. on Saturday. PSM Deputy Chairman S. Arut Chelvan had said Khalid, 29, was arrested around 10:30 p.m. on Friday at his home in Klang by 3 officers from the D5 unit in Bukit Aman under Section 4, Subsection 1B of the Sedition Act for allegedly posting a seditious tweet aimed at Tunku Azizah. Judo launches its first PUBG Mobile Campus Championship. Details after this breather. Now it's time for Nightline's Esports segment, bringing you the latest news for gaming and esports. Judo has announced the first ever PUBG Mobile Campus Championship, PMCC 2019, to be hosted in several universities and colleges across Malaysia. The tournament will kick off on September 24th with 7 regional qualifiers before heading to Kuala Lumpur for the grand finals. PMCC 2019 will see over 6,000 students across the country participating for a shot at the 60,000 ringgit prize pool. The winning team will also walk away with a one-year Judo mobile plan and an exclusive direct invite to the grand finals of PUBG Mobile National Championship PNNC 2020. Gaming fans will be able to catch all the action of the grand finals at regional viewing parties organized by their respective universities. In addition to the viewing parties and social media competitions, a nationwide roadshow will also be organized by the university students.
So we are working actually with a youth group to organize roadshows. So that's why we are engaging youths to be involved. Well, in the universities itself, we will be having roadshows and viewing parties. Right? In terms of the roadshows, we will have special lucky draws, which are for a chance to win T-shirts and also in-game jerseys.
The roadshow will visit 14 different universities where students can look for tournament promos, exclusive merchandise, and PUBG Mobile show watches. PMCC 2019 follows after successfully held tournaments that have taken place in countries like India and Indonesia. Explosion rocks police warehouse in Indonesia. Stay tuned. Now on to the foreign front. An explosion went off on Saturday in an Indonesian police evidence warehouse containing munitions dating from World War II, injuring one officer and prompting the evacuation of nearby residents. The blast occurred at 7 a.m. local time at the warehouse of the Mobile Police Brigade headquarters in Serondol, close to the city of Semarang in Central Java Province. Provincial Police Chief A. Daniel said the explosives stored in the warehouse had been found by residents. The cause of the blast was being investigated, and firefighters had been deployed to tackle a blaze that it triggered. Zimbabwean politicians, international dignitaries, and thousands of citizens gathered at a stadium in Harare to pay their final respects to the country's founding father, Robert Mugabe. The former president's coffin, draped in green, black, gold, and red Zimbabwe flag, was marched slowly into the national stadium, accompanied by a military band and an escort of officers. His wife, Grace, in a black veil, and family followed behind. The state funeral in the capital on Saturday follows a week of disputes between the Mugabe family and the government over where the former president will be laid to rest. The ruling ZANU-PF party and President Emerson Mnangagwa, Mugabe's former deputy who helped remove him from power, wanted him to be buried at a national monument to heroes of the liberation war against white minority rule. However, some relatives expressing bitterness at the way former comrades had deposed Mugabe pushed for him to be buried in his ancestral village of Kutama. The two parties on Friday finally agreed that he should lie at National Heroes Acre in Harare, but the final ceremony would take place in about 30 days once the new mausoleum was built for him there. Mugabe, who ruled Zimbabwe for 37 years until he was forced to resign in the wake of a military coup in November 2017, died last week in a Singapore hospital at the age of 95. Perak moves a step closer to knockout stages. Action from the Malaysia Cup when we return. We're back with sports football, the 2019 Malaysia Cup. 4 group matches were played on Saturday night. In Group C, Sabah beat Pulau Pinang 2-0. In Group D, Selangor were held to a 1-1 draw by Malacca United, while Felda United claimed a narrow 1-0 win over Police. At the Ipoh Stadium, host Perak moved a step closer to qualify to the knockout stages after recording a 3-1 win over Group C leaders Pahang. The Bosgarus broke through the deadlock in the 31st minute through Ronaldo before Muhammad Shahril Fikri doubled the advantage just 1 minute before the interval. Shahril then made it 3-0 in the 46th minute to put the result beyond doubt. Pahang managed to grab a goal in the 84th minute through Lazarus Kaimbi, but it was just a consolation as Perak held on to their lead to claim the maximum point. With the win, Perak remained in second with 8 points, 3 points above third place Pulau Pinang, while Pahang leads the group with 12 points. And that's it for Nightline this time around. We'll leave you with visuals of the Japanese children performing the haka for the All Blacks rugby squad ahead of the start of the 2019 World Cup next week. With that, I'm Nakia Bashirudin. Thanks for watching.